Patriots could have even traded one of those twos, picked up a 3 and a 4, and drafted a quarterback and developed him, just like you were going to watch the Steelers do with Rudolph. So a very confusing draft from New England side. I know they got a lot of good players early in this draft, but they haven't drafted that well. So just because they get names doesn't necessarily mean success for them. They've struggled in the draft to the point where they've traded out of the first round at times rather than bust the pick. So very puzzling from New England. But I think eventually at some point, this whole thing's falling apart.
And if you're a New England fan, I'm right there with you. You have to be nervous now because what you just said, Brady could be one hit away from being done. And the thing about Brady is because of his age, he's not going to probably want to go through a lengthy rehab. I think the next major injury he suffers is probably going to be the last injury he has in the NFL.
Just think if he gets a bad concussion even.
That's right. I mean, Giselle says he has concussions all the time that he never reports. So, and you said Belichick. I mean, so if you're Belichick and you lose Brady, I think you're at a point in your career as Belichick that you don't really have a lot of motivation to go through a very lengthy rebuilding process. So I think at the moment you lose Brady, you ultimately lose Belichick too. You're starting over. I think if you're a fan of any other team, maybe outside the Dolphins, because I'm still kind of confused about what they're doing, but I think if you're a Jets fan, you just drafted Darnold. If you're a Bills fan, you just drafted Allen. I'm high on his ceiling. You could start to see the shift of power in the AFC finally for the first time in 15 or 16 years. And I think, Justin, if we're still doing this podcast 3 or 4 years from now, which I hope we are, I hope to be a lot bigger by then, but if we're still doing it 3 or 4 years from now, in a sense that the AFC, I think we'll be talking about a different playoff picture out of the AFC East than we are right now.
It almost feels like Belichick wants to leave the cupboard empty when he walks away. It was almost like Garoppolo was his plan B. When Brady leaves, Garoppolo's his guy, and he would sort of continue for a few years and prove that it wasn't Brady responsible for all these wins. It was a lot more Belichick. And I think once it seemed like he was forced to make that trade, now it's like, all right, I'll ride this thing out with Tom Brady, and when I leave here, I'm not leaving you guys with Jack.
Yep.
You guys can build from square one, and you can see how hard it is. I really feel like there's some of that going on that, like you said, when Brady's ready to leave, or maybe even before that, I think Belichick's gone.
A lot of beat writers actually mentioned that move with Garoppolo was kind of a big FU move to the organization as far as just setting it up to where it's my dynasty, I do it the way I want it, and outside of that, I don't really care. So, Justin, my question to you as we wrap up the Patriots, give me a sense for Garoppolo versus Brady. Who has a better 2018-2019? And I'm talking statistically, not team record. I'm just talking as the quarterback. Who has a higher QBR and who has more yards?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Because the 49ers, it feels like they still need to get some pieces around him. So from that standpoint, I'll say if they're both healthy, I'll still take Brady. But I think it's going to be very close. To me, I think Brady just has better weapons. But I think as the 49ers get a chance to build, I think it's going to be a lot closer. It's just far and away the weapons that New England has at wide receiver and at tight end are just better than what the 49ers have. And I think Garoppolo is going to have those games on film. Teams are going to be able to game plan. It's not going to quite be as easy as it was toward the end of last year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. If I was going to put any money on the bet like that, I'd say Tom Brady has a higher QBR, and I think Garoppolo probably has higher yardage, but lower efficiency. I think, the 49ers are still building. I think they're going to play from behind a bit more than the Patriots will, so I think that increases yardage, but I think QBR still goes to Tom Brady if all things are equal and they're both healthy. Well, that's a wrap for segment 2 of the NFL, and that's a wrap on season 1. Justin, I've had a great time with you in the studio this year, a couple of times where we had to do remote, but I give you all the credit in the world, too. We talk about giving athletes credit for their effort. Justin and I don't live, for those of you who don't know, we don't live right next door. We don't even live in the same city. Justin lives about an hour from me. The studio.
Our wives won't allow that.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
We would get nothing accomplished.
That would be like college all over again. It'd be nothing but Cheez-Its and Oreos are all over the place. Although I still have the body of a guy who eats Cheez-Its and Oreos, and you still look like a 19-year-old athlete. So I don't really appreciate that. You walking in here with your athletic gear on, and I'm sitting here in baggy clothes and hooded sweatshirts. I'm like Belichick, baby.
If you clip the sleeves off, I might have to talk to your wife.
Believe me, she's already said whatever you're going to say. No, it's been a great time. Season 1 has been a lot of fun. I think season 2 is going to be even more fun. We're going to just get into a groove where, like you said last week, we're going to let you in a little bit. We're going to tell you what we've got going on in our lives, what's going on between the episodes. But as far as the content, we'll still bring you as much of the preparation and production as we can. We've got a lot of good things for season 2 coming. New intros and outros. We've got that teaser live on the Apple Podcast feed right now if you want to check out the season 2 teaser. We're going to have a new website, www.talkbackfantalk.com. But as always, you can find us on social media at TalkbackFanTalk on both Instagram and Twitter, and we'll try to keep that updated all the time throughout the year. You can connect with us on there. And then individually, you can always hit us up. That's how come I give these shout outs to these guys who are listeners and they're texting us and letting us know their thoughts on the show. If you want to get a shout out on the show, first you got to shout back at us. Talk to us over on our individual Twitter accounts. I'm at TalkbackEric.
And I'm at TalkbackJustin.
We're always happy to debate sports and talk about the major topics in the world of sports as you see them, because we're going to tell you how we see it right here on Talkback Fan Talk. That's a wrap for season 1. Catch us next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Spreaker.com, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere that podcasts are popular. We do appreciate you listening, and we look forward to talking back to you in season 2.